And welcome back, everybody, to Muskogee Rougher Football Coaches Show here on TV 15. We call it Rougher TV. Why we call it Rougher TV? Well, it's all about the Roughers. Head coach Josh Blankenship, myself, Bill Huddleston, here for another week's look back at last week's football game and a look ahead to the upcoming contest against the Norman Tigers. But what a performance by the Roughers on Thursday night of last week. It was fall break, but you didn't give the Patriots any break.
Well, I'm glad we didn't. We needed that type of game. We really challenged our guys to come focused, and we do that all the time, no matter the opponent. But a lot of times it's hard. You know, you come into a Thursday game, short amount of time to prepare, probably an inferior opponent, and sometimes you go into it with a little lack of focus. I was very pleased with our guys. Showed a lot of growth in coming into that game focused. Obviously, performed the way we did, especially early in the game, allows us to play a lot of people, and a lot of guys got to get in Thursday night.
Certainly, you talk about all those distractions away from school, not in that normal routine. I mean, these guys aren't uneducated fans of high school football. They can read the papers, they can see the standings, they can see who scored what points, who scored not what points, who's won what games, who hasn't. And you can lose your focus very, very easily if you don't have everything just in the proper mindset. But I think that shows, as we've talked about, day by day, every day, every way, this football team maturing and becoming a much better football team each and every contest.
I think they're definitely doing that, and Thursday night was just evidence of that for me. You know, it would have been very easy for us to go play sloppy football, and we didn't. We played very disciplined, focused football, so I was pleased.
On both sides of the football, but specifically it got started right out of the get-go when the Roughers were on defense. And we're going to take a look at some of those defensive highlights right now because that kind of set the tone, as Coach Blankenship was talking about, the early start. Start fast, finish strong, and stay focused all the way through the ball game. Let's take a look at some of the defensive highlights from last Thursday night's win, Coach, and it started right off the bat with Chandler Heath.
Hey, yeah, big play to get in there and cause a fumble, and then obviously we get the ball back really early. Gives us a chance to do some things right off the bat, and that was one of the things we obviously challenged our guys to do was start fast.
Wow, there's a pop right there that popped the ball.
Yeah, imagine who made that big hit too. Sidro Grayson flying around again, not only hitting people but knocking the ball out there. Big pressure there by West Star, and then Kyle Lewis finishing off with the sack, and then big Tramal Ivy coming on every week, better and better, and gets a sack there. You get a bunch of guys in on the play here, Dylan Rice, Kyle Lewis, guys just clogging up the hole and really causing issues for PC West.
Well, the quarterback of the Patriots virtually had to scramble for his life the entire ball game, and that was just kind of the mentality of this attack-type defense. They weren't going to let anybody get out of there, and the guy that sits between us had a little bit to do with some of that.
He did. Maurice James, he's our champion of the week. We actually spent a lot of time debating and arguing about this as a coaching staff on who we want to honor as a champion of the week because we got a lot of guys that are probably deserving, but it's an important thing for us. We talk about it all the time, so if we're going to talk about it all the time, we want to select somebody that we feel really represents it. Maurice is one of those guys, does everything right. He's a yes sir, no sir guy, which I know that sounds like a little thing, but you know, in today's culture, it's a pretty big deal. You don't have to ask him to do something. He's one of those guys that if he sees something that needs to be done, he goes and gets it done. He does more than you would expect from anybody, whether it be being ready to go in at the drop of a dime, you know, due to injury, or going and fill in at scout team for something that he's probably a guy that's elevated his game to the point that he shouldn't have to be playing scout team, but he goes in there because he wants to give us a good look. So everything he does, you know, on the field, off the field, is class.
Maurice, I know last Thursday night, just visiting with the players after the ball game, it was a fun time to be a Rougher, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
What was the most rewarding thing for you? Coach talks about being a champion, but seeing that type of mental focus and the preparedness that the football team, I mean, the coaches can do their game plan, but they don't run any play. They don't make any tackles. They don't run for any touchdowns or throw any passes or catch any or kick any punts or field goals. You guys have to do the job. What was the key to this football team being ready to go?
Just being prepared, focused, stuff like that.
Now, all season long, we've talked about every day, every way, being a champion both on and off the field. How have you tried to make that become a reality for Maurice James?
Just coming to practice every day, working hard, getting in.
Okay. Now, in addition to football, though, there's being a champion off the field. I know that's something you and your teammates take a whole lot of pride in.
Well, first thing, you got to come to school every day and work hard at school, too, and then take care of your family.
take care of those academics.
Yes, sir.
Make sure that not only are you just coming to school, but you're participating, taking care of the grades, keeping those letters up there where they belong,
Yes,
putting
sir.
2 legs on that A, not just one.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, once you leave here, within the community, whether it's with friends or family, just setting a role model, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, being a role model for a high school student sometimes is a lot of pressure. How do you deal with that?
Just try to stay out of that kind of stuff.
Just set the example the positive way, right?
Yes, sir.
So when I say champion of the week, what first comes to mind for Maurice James?
Don't know. That's a hard one.
Hopefully, obviously, you can tell his modest approach to that, Josh, because here's a man that doesn't want to put it all on him. He wants to just let his actions speak louder than words.
He's very humble. It's he just comes and shows up like he said. He shows up, does his job, doesn't complain, and works hard. And he doesn't just do that in football, and he mentioned it, but you do it in the classroom. You know, my day job at school is tracking down truancies. Well, his name never shows up.
Sure.
There's a reason. But then he also mentioned family, and that's something we emphasize in the football, side of things. But why do we emphasize in the football side of things? We want it to carry over into every other aspect, and that's important to Maurice.
Well, here's a shining example of the progression, the growth of the Rougher football program, not just in wins and losses, but what they do beyond the game of football, on the streets, in the school, at home. Our champion of the week, Maurice James, who is a junior here at Muskogee High School, but he's a big man on campus and a big man around his friends. And Maurice, just keep up the good work, my man, and let's see if we can't get another win. I'm sure you're prepared for this week's ball game too, right?
Yes, sir.
Maurice James and the Roughers getting prepared for a big district encounter this week against the Norman Tigers out at Indian Bowl. We come back, we're going to take a look back again at last Thursday night's ball game, talk about some of those passing highlights. And there was a first for a tight end for the Muskogee Roughers. We'll talk about that when we come back on the other side of the break. You're watching TV 15 and the Muskogee Rougher Coaches Show with head coach Josh Blankenship and our champion of the week, Maurice James. And welcome back to TV 15, Rougher football here this week. Myself, Bill Huddleston, along with the head coach of the Roughers, Josh Blankenship. Last week's ball game against Putnam City, you could have it in your left hand passing the football or in your right hand running the football. It was offense working on all 8 cylinders.
They did.
I should say 11 cylinders.
Well, that's true. But everybody showed up, and when they came focused, obviously they had put the time in during the week before to prepare. And then they went out and executed, and that's it's a lot of fun when guys execute because our offense is designed to get a lot of people involved, and that happened the other night.
Certainly, a lot of people got some first in their careers. Let's take a look at some of the passing highlights from last week's ball game, and as we go to the film clips, we'll be able to see some of those moments that the Roughers enjoyed in their contest against Putnam City West.
Again, Anthony King making a big catch. One of a couple sophomores that we got that really stepped up this year and had a big year and doing good things for us. And again, Trevor having a great game, throwing to another senior. Our soccer goalie, we're pulling in a touchdown pass there at tight end. Obviously, getting the ball to Vic is something we do week in and week out because he makes plays. Dump down an easy little hitch. We're doing a better job of taking what they give us there with Trevor connecting with Aaron Fowler. Big shot down the middle there to Vic on what we call a little smash pump. Good delivery, great job of Vic going up to catch that thing. Getting another tight end involved there on a boot. Deontay making a great catch. That was even a 4th down conversion, if I remember correctly.
Right, nice move to elude the tackler and then just run out of the grasp and keep it up the field.
Yeah.
Extra yardage, picking up first downs, and just doing exactly what the passing game is designed to do: spread the defense and hit them where they aren't.
Take what they give you. That even our run game is built in that way, where if they're not going to place somebody out there to honor who we have lined up out there, Trevor's going to pull it and dump it out there, which you saw one. There we gave it to number 8, and obviously Vic's pretty good at making people miss.
Well, the guy that got kind of a big moment for himself is sitting between the two of us. A pretty good-sized guy here between the two of us, too. Our
tight ends are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, we're welcoming in Parker Wilkerson. Parker, this I know is your first year to be out on the gridiron. How much fun are you having?
I'm having a blast. It's absolutely amazing.
Now, last Friday night and in practice, Josh tells the receiving corps, and that includes the tight ends, that your first responsibility is to do what? You got to be able to.
Got to be able to catch it.
You got to be able to catch it, but you got to be able to block.
Block too.
Or you're not going to be out here at all. And so blocking is a big responsibility. But then, early on in the game, you found yourself running uncontested.
I guess they didn't care about me getting the ball at all. They didn't want anything to do with me. They just let me go, and Trevor saw that, and he connected with me for the touchdown.
Now, how big was that football when it was coming at you?
Well, honestly, I don't know if this happens to everyone on their first catch as a football player, their first touchdown. I didn't even see the ball coming. I ran my route and got to the end zone and waved my arms as you saw in the film, and the ball landed in my arms.
Well, you weren't waving at mom and dad or grandma and grandpa up in the stands. You were waving to get Trevor's attention. And alertly, he saw you running uncontestedly. Said, "Hey, it's just easy pitch and catch."
Yes, sir.
So it was kind of like practice, right?
Yeah.
Now,
felt that way.
How much have you been able to take what you've learned over the past several seasons playing in goal, in net, as a tight end?
Well, from playing in goalie, especially in 6A soccer, I know how to go up and get the ball even with somebody in my face. I can go up and protect myself properly and pull the ball down and keep it in my grasp and make sure other people don't get it from me.
Well, obviously, things are paying off. We got a chance to see Parker in action last week against Putnam City West, and we saw in those highlights, Josh, Parker Wilkerson and Deontay doing a great job catching the football after they carried out their blocks.
Absolutely, and they know that. That's priority number one. We don't get on the field if we can't block, and we know that to be able to throw the ball, we got to set up the run, or we got to be able to run. And actually, his touchdown came off of a boot, I believe, where we had a little play fake and came out of it. Well, that doesn't happen if you're not effective in your run blocking.
And to have that little slip block and then standing wide open in the end zone, I'm sure there might have been a little butterfly there with it.
Just a little bit.
But certainly a lot of excitement. I know there were some screaming fans in the rougher stands. I think one of them might have been, well, let's leave that for another family affair. Parker Wilkerson, who is our TV Player of the Week here this week for the Ruffers, big win over Putnam City West. He was a part of that passing success last Thursday night. Now, there was two sides of the offense that was equally successful. That included the running game. Let's switch quickly to some of the video highlights of last Thursday nights. And, Coach, there were just play after play after play on the running game.
Well, the guys up front got it done first and foremost, and then when you add in how hard our running backs are running, right there you see Cameron Owsley getting an opportunity to carry the ball, running hard. It sure is a lot of fun when you execute. Guys executing all across the board there and gets Anthony King in for his first touchdown of the year. Bradley, we all know what he's capable of. It was nice to see him rewarded. I believe he even had 3 touchdowns on the night rushing.
He did.
That's big. And we see his production week in and week out, but to be rewarded with it with those kind of stats is pretty fun.
Good effort there by Trevor, too, after there was nobody to throw to, just make something out of a bad situation.
Trevor's pretty savvy, and you know, sometimes his running ability goes
Bradley was so fast he ran clear out of the screen.
I'd like to see more of that. That's nice. Great run there by him. Obviously great blocking up front also.
Of course, here's the little pitch, and there's B-Mac going in for his 3rd score of the night.
And they make it look easy when everybody's doing their job.
But that all happens because the guys up in the trench just
assignment football. You know, they actually had to make some adjustments. Putnam City West, as do a lot of teams that want to be competitive. They're going to come out in a little bit different look than you might have seen on film, and you've got to make those adjustments.
And we just see Virgil Moore, Ricky Johnson.
Yeah, we get all kinds of guys involved when you're executing. Huge run by their Cameron.
Boy, just ran over the guy. I mean, that's cowboy up.
Yeah, those rodeo guys know how to do that. Ed Baker, Virgil Moore, Richard Johnson, we got to get a lot of running backs involved, and they like to have fun. Those big guys up front love the success that they have when the guys behind them are carrying the ball like they were.
And the unselfishness of the running backs to come back and pat their offensive lineman on the shoulder and say, job well done, just makes you want to go out there and do it again. Something that you'll have to do this Friday night against the Norman Tigers.
Absolutely, big game.
Going to be a big ball game. We're going to talk about that with Coach Blankenship, kind of how the whole playoff scenario is shaping up and about the opponent, the Tigers of Norman. That's priority number 1. We'll discuss that with Coach Blankenship when we come back on the other side of the break. You're watching the Muskogee Rougher Coaches Show here on TV 15. And welcome back, everybody, to the Muskogee Rougher Coaches Show here on TV 15. Josh Blankenship, myself, Bill Huddleston. We've taken a look at last week's ball game, but for a high school football coach and for the players, that's in the past. You have to set all those joys behind you and begin immediately focusing that started on Friday for getting ready for this Friday night's ball game.
Well, that's going to be easy, I think. We've kind of been fighting the urge to want to focus on Norman. We knew the game that it was going to be. We know all that could come as a result of a win, and obviously we'll talk about that a little bit more here. But it's been probably tougher to not think ahead to Norman. than it will be to focus this time. I think the guys are definitely going to be focused. I know the coaches certainly are.
Josh, let's talk a little bit about what kind of football team Norman brings in here. Greg Nation's had a great run last year and this year, and they're coming in here loaded because they realize they're pretty much in the same boat as the Ruffers.
Right. Basically, the winner we believe is going to have the 3 seed in the playoffs. We kind of look at it as Jinx and Broken Arrow's got that 1 and 2 locked up unless something crazy happens in the next couple weeks. So we've got those 3 and 4 seeds. Weird scenario is basically for us, barring a couple of crazy situations that it could happen, but we're not going to bank on them happening. It's basically win, get a 3 seed, or lose, and we're not in the playoffs. And Norman's in a pretty familiar situation.
Let's take a look at the standings in District 6A3 as we come into week number 9. You can see, as Josh mentioned, Jinx and Broken Arrow, the only 2 undefeated teams. Then you've got Norman and Muskogee, each at 3 and 2, Southmore at 2 and 3. Then it's Sapulpa, Shawnee, and Putnam West. The top 5 teams are in the chase. The other 3 are out of the postseason playoffs. But like you mentioned, Josh, it's pretty much a winner-take-all type ball game this Friday night when the Norman Tigers come to town.
Well, and we saw that coming as a possibility a couple weeks ago. So a few weeks ago, we decided our playoffs start now. We've got to win out, and we can do something special, have a 3 seed, hadn't been done in a while. Go play an opponent on their place or on their field in the first round of the playoffs with a chance to advance. You get in, you got a chance to advance. Obviously, if we don't get the job done or we stub our toe, we may not even get in the tournament.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your opponent, the Norman Tigers. Greg Nation's ball club, like I mentioned, has had a successful 2010 and again here in 2011. A very talented football team that likes to play smash mouth.
They do, and they're very fast also. I really liken them to Broken Arrow. Probably not as big as some of the other teams that we see, but equally as fast, very physical. Obviously, everybody knows about their running back, Donovan Roberts. Is a great running back. I put him right up there with Alex Ross. Maybe even a bit more physical. Loves the contact, loves running people over, and they do a good job up front. They're well coached scheme-wise, do some good things in the run game. And then defensively, they really are athletic. They feel like they've got lockdown secondary personnel, and so they load up the box and they fly around.
Well, let's talk about now what the Ruffers do. You told me all season long it's not so much about what the other team does, but it's all about us. And I really think that is even more true this Friday night because it truly is about what the Ruffers do from preparation this week to playing the game.
No question. We've got to play with great passion. We've got to play with great focus. We're pretty good at the passion part. We got to make sure the focus comes with it. Last week was really the first time in a while we've done that, and I was really pleased. Hopefully that carries over. Physically and as far as the tangible things, we have to play faster and more physical than they do. We got to make sure we wrap that running back up. We have great opportunities on a regular basis of hitting people in the backfield. No matter our opponent, we got to make sure we wrap those guys up back there. Offensively, we got to move the sticks and get the ball in the end zone.
Certainly no better place, though, to be playing a ball game of this importance than at the Bowl.
I love playing at the Indian Bowl. From having been on the outside in, there's definitely a mystique about playing at the Indian Bowl. And it's hard for people to come play here, and they know that. So we're going to use that to our advantage.
Well, hopefully the Ruffers can take care of their business on Friday night. It'll be a 7:30 kickoff. You'll be able to just come out and enjoy the environment, the excitement of high school football when the Ruffers take on the Norman Tigers for, as what Coach Blankenship mentioned, kind of a winner-take-all scenario as far as the District 6A playoffs picture is concerned. Even though there are some of those other similarities, we're not even going to talk about that. We'll just let the chips fall where they may. And
control
the Ruffers,
our own destiny.
TCB, right? Take care of business. And the Ruffers will try to do that Friday night when they entertain the Norman Tigers. If you can't get to the game, you can listen to it on radio on AM 1490, or you can watch it and listen to the radio broadcast at the same time by going to rufferfootball.com or onto vipeok.com and pick up the internet feed. Josh, it's going to be madness at the Indian Bowl. Looking forward to Friday night's ball game.
Can't wait.
And we'll talk all about that in next week's show, and we'll talk about week number 10. But that's still a week away. Get out and support the Ruffers. Come to the Bowl and watch Muskogee against Norman on Friday night. For head coach Josh Blankenship and for our champion of the week, Maurice James, as well as our Ruffer Player of the Week here on the TV show, Parker Wilkerson, I'm Bill Huddleston saying so long for now. See you Friday night at Indian Bowl.